Welcome to Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City of Promise and News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WINA. And brought to you by the Jefferson School Foundation with Markiana and Price, coming to you right here in downtown in the studio. This week, I'm no meteorologist, but we had a low 30s and I didn't have a jacket and my tire pressure is low, so I'm doing so good with the weather change. Thank you, winter.
Interesting tire pressure shout there.
Yeah, it's been 3 days.
And you should put air in your tire.
No.
What do you mean no?
I did not put no air in my tire because I thought that it's going to warm back up.
You did it? It's not though.
No, it did warm up. Yesterday was like...
You're like playing the barometric pressure thing?
Yes,
you just put air in your tires though,
No,
right?
I think it's going to warm up enough that the light's going to go off.
That's a bizarre... Absolutely bizarre way to think about that.
No, I've been driving for 3 days, tire pressure on since that 30-degree, low 30s we had.
But, I mean, you're only going, like, hopefully 10 miles here and there.
You're coming from Orange.
I'm coming from... I'm going a long way.
You might need to go check that air. You might need to go put some air in it, like, when you leave here, actually.
Like, immediately.
I'm not putting no air in the tire type of girl.
That's the craziest thing to hold the line on, right? That's like a crazy thing.
I'm going to go do it, but I really thought that it would heat up. For real. I was like, when it warms up, it's going to go off because it's cold.
That's fair.
Yes, thank you.
Fair.
I know 3 days is a long time, but
it is.
But yay, winter is here.
It's supposed to be warm. It's supposed to be warm tomorrow. It's supposed to be in the 60s tomorrow.
It was nice yesterday,
but
a couple days ago it was 30. So
it was the beginning of the week.
I've been having my winter coat on.
I did not have a jacket on.
Yeah.
I did not put on a jacket. I had like a pullover sweatshirt, and I went out. And I just had to walk to the car, see? So it tricks you. You're not really cold.
Outside.
But later on, I was walking downtown to get some lunch, and I was like, oh, my God. I can't feel my hands. The wind, it feel like whatever it feel like. And so I had a sweater that I have at work that I put on in the office. I had to wear that home.
And now you had to switch it out.
Now I don't got no sweater at the office in case I do this mistake again.
Oh, my days.
But that's our little, spiel. Today, I am thrilled to be joined by Yunina Barbour-Payne, a scholar, an artist, a performer, a dramaturg, a director, a playwright. She's acted in countless roles, too many to name.
Yes.
Founder of Affrilachian Memory Plays, an archive-based performance inquiry for celebrating Affrilachian identity in its own various creative iterations. But most excitingly for me, our next interview on this episode of Envision Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Dialed in.
Ooh,
you got
excited to be here.
It took you, a full year?
Full year to get that.
to do that intro.
Good night.
Now it's in there.
Yeah.
Locked and loaded.
I look at their bio and add a little stuff that's fun.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Well, look, tell us a little bit about. I think I say this every time. We always start at the beginning. Mm-hmm. We never really end in the same place. Okay. So we start at the beginning, and then wherever we go. We just sort of follow that thread. But tell us a little bit about where you're from. Let's talk a little bit about growing up, and then we'll take the off ramps as they come.
Perfect. Well, thank you all first for having me. It feels good to be able to be in community here as somebody that's still new to Charlottesville. Anytime I get to come into a room, I was listening to y'all, so I already feel like I'm like, oh, okay, I know who I'm coming in with. It's distant cousins.
Celebratory or derogatory?
Right. I heard some of it already.
Celebratory.
It was too late to cancel.
But I just mentioned that because I am from Kentucky. So I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Okay. My mama was raised in Hart County. I always mention that because I was very aware growing up that there was two kind of ways that I needed to understand myself. One was as the daughter of my mama, who would remind me that she grew up on a tobacco farm often. So what that meant about her moving to the city and then raising a kid like me who was then in the city but still knew that was where my mama was from and it was only a step away. I did and went to school. I went to performing arts for middle school and for high school, but I went to the Performing Arts High School in Louisville. And I remember even doing that a lot of the reasons why I was focused on my academics was because my mom would say, if this was Floyd Barber's house, you wouldn't have an option around, if you could do well or not. That's not a non-negotiable. So I think that was something that as an artist, I was in drama and I was in dance from a very young age. And in middle school, I had to choose two. So I started in dance. But when I got to middle school, I had to choose a second art in order to qualify to audition for the performing arts school. And so I just chose drama because I didn't have enough patience, enough discipline to sit still in the music classes.
For instrumentals?
Yeah, for instrumentals. And I was I love to draw, but I also was very resistant to don't tell me what to do, or I was a visual, so I could pick up stuff, but the idea of somebody telling me a technique when I was younger was like, nah, I want to be somewhere where I have free reign. So drama was the only other option. But I'm so grateful for that because I went to performing arts high school, and so I got a chance. It was a conservatory environment in a lot of ways, but for high school students, it was preparing us to audition for more serious programs in college. And I think from that, just the discipline and the spirit around what does it mean to be an artist, I knew very early what my everyday practice should be, to think about my body as a vessel and my voice as an instrument. And I was one of 5 other Black students in our cohort of maybe, I don't know, we were small, so we were the largest cohort of students, and there were 5 of us. And so what that meant was when we mentioned For Color Girls before we went on, but I knew we had to know all of that in high school, right? Because there were only so many ways that we got a chance to think about Black plays. But it also meant for me that on the weekends I was in Black Achievers in Louisville. And so what I didn't get in the performing arts, I was in the arts cluster in Black Achievers, and that was where I got a lot of exposure to Black arts practices. And there were actual artists in Louisville. There's a lot of activist history in Louisville, and so many of the people who were our leaders in that space, they had a consciousness that they imparted to us even as young people. So Monday through Friday, I'm at the performing arts. Every Saturday morning, I was getting up 4 hours and going to Black Achievers at the YMCA in Louisville, and we were in arts clusters. So what that meant was we were creating plays, we were reading Black work, and we were thinking about what does it mean to make something to teach and learn our history. So that was the framework that I came up in. And it really does make sense when you talk about a journey of we might begin somewhere, but we might end somewhere else. I feel like I can relate to that just as an artist, because you could not have, despite all of that, I thought I was going to be a child psychologist.
Despite, girl, you was in performing arts middle school.
That was a crazy.
She was like,
U-turn,
I know,
right?
I was in preschool.
So here's all this stuff. And by the way, have you guys heard of Carl Jung? I'm like, what are you talking about? How did you get there?
For real.
Well, okay, so
I didn't even know you could be in performance arts middle school. It's like giving Montessori.
That is crazy.
It was when I went to Montessori.
I knew it. I said, it's giving Montessori. How you get down here?
Crazy. Well, so, okay, all of that said, what is the psychology angle?
Yeah. So what I learned is that I really love why people do what they do and how people are formed to think what they
Theater
think.
is psychology.
Yes. Literally. I mean, you laughing, but for real.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at what she said.
Every time somebody come in here, they say something, and I'm like, that is that.
Come on.
But she'll just start saying stuff, and then she'll look at me to be like, you heard that? I'm like, I know you made that up. Like, now I know. The first one, she said something. She said some funny one about mountains or something. I was like, oh, that was cool. And you were like, I read that somewhere. And then 3 minutes later, she was like, I just made it up.
I made it up. Theater is psychology. Think about it. I want to sit with it.
There you go.
Sit with it.
It is the study.
Let it marinate.
Of the body on stage.
That's
I don't
character
know.
development.
See.
That's character development right there.
But yeah, I'm sorry, but it is psychology.
So and really, truly, the craft that is preparing for a role is thinking about what journey did the person go on in order to get here, what is going to inform why they make the choices that they're making. And I think as an actor, I love that I get to think about what does it mean to step inside a role and step inside somebody's mind, that even if on a regular day I may have no idea what their reality is, for a moment I get to understand, like, why do they do what they do? Even if I hate their choices, how did they end up here? And I think as a playwright, I have to be endearing in that same way of, like, even if, again, this is a person that in everyday life I probably am not going to mess with, I got to at least think about, well, what were the experiences that shaped them to make them feel like they were justified or motivated by what they're doing? So to me, that is the psychology. And I love that now, especially as an actor, man, I get to think about the psychology of people and also systems. So the last few roles that I've done, one of them being Leonarda's Clyde's, like to think about what does it mean for people who don't know the show. It is a story of a group of people who were formerly incarcerated that find themselves working in a diner, trying to transition back into the world and back into a society that does not have a space for them. Mm-hmm. And the main character of this diner is a person she is running the diner, so she's creating a space for these folks to come through, but she is not kind. Like, at first glance, she is not kind to them. Mm-hmm. And so when we think about psychology, for me, so much of the preparation of that work was like, what is the backstory of somebody who is thoughtful and forward-thinking enough and has enough agency to know she can create a space where otherwise she wouldn't have had that opportunity, and she's making a space for other. And then why is it necessary for her to be hard in her mind on the folks that come in this space?
Were you the diner owner?
Yeah. Which is great, because normally I don't get those type of roles. Like, normally I get
did they cast you? You don't get that already? I thought you had a couple more doing a lot of different things.
Which is great.
So do you play characters that you dislike, or have you ever hated a character you play? Like, I gotta be this person, but I don't get them.
Nah, because at some point in the journey, to me, understanding begets then endearment. So the moment that I understand why you are the way you are, there is something that endears me to you, even if I didn't like you at first read. Yeah, there hasn't been one, and I can knock on wood yet, where it's like, nah, I'm not messing with her. But I have played opposite of someone that I would have never wanted to play. So I have absolutely been one of the actors that's coming this weekend. She and I were in Too Heavy for Your Pocket together, and in that story, just without having to do too much, she plays my best friend and she kisses my husband. And then they don't tell me in the show, like she finds out. When I say every time we played that, like every time we had the scene,
you want to find it like that's your real man? That's acting. It's acting. She go to sleep acting.
But we are friends in real life.
She was mad at her. She said she kissed my husband. She went home that night eating dinner.
Listen. And what does that take? And I don't want to play her. And I never would have wanted to play her role, because I think, like, what does it mean to betray someone? Like, to walk around with betrayal and you not even saying nothing? Absolutely not.
If you are just jumping in, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville and City of Promise, News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WINA. Price, Marky here with... Sorry.
Yunina.
No, it was less about that and more about the hilarity of just thinking about how upset you were about a thing that you knew was staged and rehearsed.
You made that up.
That's like when your wife wakes up mad at you for something you did in a dream, and I'm like, what are you yelling at me for? Anyway, the other voice on the line, Yunina Barbour-Payne, scholar, artist, and big thanks to our friends and our sponsor, Jefferson School Foundation, the proud owner of the Jefferson School City Center, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. Talk about that, though, because I think that is an interesting sort of acting thing.
Yeah, what is it called when you get into it and you live it?
Method.
Yeah,
that's not you.
You know, but I think of just like that. I mean, I think there is something to that where you have. I was reading something the other day. It was Daniel Day-Lewis or Gary Oldman or somebody who's played like a whole host of different people and different things with different sort of personalities, and some are good guys, some are bad guys. Right? He's been like. Gary Oldman's been like Snape, but also like Commissioner Gordon, and he was like Hannibal, right? He's like done the whole thing. Yeah. Is that easier or harder to do? Is it easier to just be good guy, bad guy, villain, sympathetic, or is it easier to be like, no, I am this type of character because I more see myself. You know, like it's easier for me to get outside of myself in this way instead of being like, okay, for this one I have to be nasty, for this one I have to be racist, for this one I have to be right. I think about DiCaprio and Django. I'm like, that would have been hard to do.
Yeah,
right? I don't know. Like, he made it look easy, and I ain't forgiving him since.
But that has to have been that has to have been hard to do, right?
Looking at you,
too real.
You did a little too good,
right? Some of
I don't like when you do too well. I want to know you acting.
Right, but like that's what I'm saying. Like that had to have been hard. Like, can you imagine sitting at that table or reading that script and looking across at Samuel L. Jackson being
no.
Go ahead,
want to
cut it loose.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I mean, is range a thing that I think we always interpret it as being a skill set? But I wonder, I don't know, you tell me, like, is it that, or is it actually harder to sort of be a depth of character that is either, like, always sunny, or always enterprising, or always...
Yeah, I appreciate that question, and I think one of the things that I've realized, especially moving moving cities and moving theater landscapes has opened up different opportunities for me. I think I mentioned that Clyde's for me was a different kind of character than I was typically playing. And as an actor, I'm always thinking about what are my areas of growth and how can I advance in my craft. And if in one way, there have been roles that I was getting very consistently that when I read the script, I was like, oh, I know this woman or I know these people. And there's a sensibility that I can bring to that script that I am pulling from where I'm from and where my people are from and the stories I grew up on that's easily accessible. But that doesn't mean that my process is easier. I still got to do the back work. I still got to think about, how they are, where they got, where they get. So for me, the process of preparing and getting diverse roles to prepare, I prefer that. I think there are seasons when I need a script where I know this woman and I know these people, and there's a way that in my life I often get a script that I need. Like this is the message that I need right now in the season that Yunina is in. And I think as somebody who enjoys to play, give me somebody that you can't see me doing. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. You play an opposite.
Absolutely.
The heel.
Come on.
The heel.
Come on. Challenge accepted. And I think in those spaces I think for me, that's been where I have grown the most. I remember doing Sherlock Holmes Baskerville in Texas. And each of us had maybe had multiple roles, at least 5, more than that. But when I say them things that I was cast in, I would have never, ever in a million years thought that I would have had to have some of the dialects that I had.
Okay.
I love when people do dialects.
Man, you love it. I was like, it was hard for me to stay in character because I was like, this is wild. Nobody's going to believe me.
Yeah.
Not that people are doing it well. I just think it's funny. I just saw a play where they were doing New Orleans accents.
Come on.
At the Live Arts. I can't remember what it was. Airline Highway. And I was like, these accents are so great.
Yeah. It just immediately puts you in another world, right?
Y'all were Nolans.
Come on.
That's the real South. Let me ask you sort of a basic question, which I think I don't. You too. You're a theater goer
from
and
the arts.
And you're a Renaissance woman yourself. But what makes someone a good actor?
Oh,
right. Because I think that we have. I think there are some people in the canon who I think many people would agree are good, right? But I think largely there's a lot of debate. And is it character based? Is it just like that wasn't a good character for you? Is it you just weren't actually very good at it? It was, or was I'm curious is from your point of view, like, is it range? Is it you can Heath Ledger and be in 10 Things I Hate About You and be the Joker? Is it right? Like, or is it? What is it? Like, how can you evaluate someone relatively objectively and say, no, they are good? Yeah. Not only was this a good performance, but like they are good at this thing. Because you've talked about broadening your craft. So sort of to that, like, what does that mean? Like, how do you get better at it? How do you get good at it so that no matter where you go, people go, no, she is good.
I love this question. I'd be curious too what the other responses are in the room for real. The first things that is coming to mind is basic. I think in the spirit of thinking about what are the fundamentals, believability for me.
Okay.
If I can watch you and I believe that you are in this location doing this thing with these high stakes and you are trying your hardest to get it and to do it and accomplish it, you got me.
Okay.
I think what you just asked about range, that can enter in, but I think if I'm just in a story for this moment, and I'm thinking specifically about live theater right now, not film.
Sure, yeah.
If I'm in the room at the same time in the same place, and I can believe, despite the fact that we are all in this same black box together, and I can see these chairs with the audience, I believe that you are in Antarctica trying to shoot a film. I'm thinking about the continuity that was just at UVA Drama. Excuse me. If I believe that is good acting, and you can stay grounded in it, and it's not something where. Sometimes I notice when performers are aware of their audiences, which I think is perfect in Black theater. Like, there's a way that we have to be responsive and responsible to what energy we're getting.
Okay.
And also, the best actors that I've seen are the ones that they can be believable and be grounded and still have a sense of that audience.
Okay.
It's like all of it happening at once, and it's delicious to watch. And it's delicious to be on stage with, but delicious to watch because I'm like, oh, this is a good actor because they have a hold on the room. They don't just have a hold on what's happening on the stage. What you think?
So I was trying to think what comes to mind for me, because me and my friends used to always talk about Zendaya.
Okay.
And how we love her, but we don't know if she's a good actor. I feel like she's in these roles that, like, I think you're just being Zendaya with a different name. I love Zendaya.
Well, so I think this is part of the question, though.
I love Zendaya.
But I think this is part of the question. If you get roles that are written that are closely aligned to the things that you do, or your movements, or your mannerisms, or your like, does that make you a good actor?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, are you doing something? I love her.
Do you have to do something?
I love her,
like,
I don't, she's in, but I'm just like, I don't know if she's doing something or she's just reading the something. But again,
so what would you say? Is she a good actor?
Ooh. Ooh. That's what we doing it here.
I think that she knows what she is good at.
That's a ridiculous answer.
That means you're good.
So is that a yes?
I rest my case. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Sure, yes. But I also do a lot of live theater. I have a season tickets to the Live Arts. I have season tickets to 4 counties. I got season tickets to Richmond.
Come on.
So I go to a lot of shows, musicals mostly, because I love a little singing. But there have been times where I forgot I was sitting in the audience. I saw Shucked last year there, and I was like, I wanted to see Alex Newell, but it was on tour. They were in Broadway, blah, 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 blah. But the person who was in Alex Newell's role, I was like, oh, it didn't matter who. You're up there in big shoes, and I forgot that I'm not even in the story with you. I think y'all are in a cornfield. I think y'all are in the country. And I was like, it was everybody on stage was so good, and that I was like, oh, everybody up there was very talented. Yeah. The show was well crafted. I understood the plot. But I think a lot of times it could be the writing. I think you're in a role that would have been hard for anybody, and people are like, you were bad. I'm like, maybe it was the script. I like to give people a little grace.
So hold on.
I just saw a show this week I thought was not good.
We're going to keep going into this, but I do have to do my thing.
Yeah,
this is Envision Radio from the United Way Creator. Charlottesville, City of Promise, News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM, WNA. Jay yells at me if I don't do it. Price Markey here with Yunina Barbour-Payne, talking acting. We need show notes because we want to ask people, like, who are good actors? And a big thanks again to our sponsor, Jefferson School Foundation, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. Okay, back to what you're saying. Right. So is it all of the things, right? So so here's my thing, believability, right? The one I think of with believability, obviously the Joker sort of like, I believe it. I don't know what that was. I believe it, right? Yeah. Denzel in Training Day, I believe you're a horrible person. Yeah. I believe it. Through and through, right? So on that heuristic, like, I'm with you, right? What about, how does that translate to, say, like, comedic actors? Right? Or is that a different thing? Because I feel like many comedic actors are sort of on the other end of the spectrum where they're typecast. But like, you talk like a Will Ferrell kind of guy. You're like, is he not a good actor?
Listen, okay.
I think it's hard to be a good actor in those spaces. Yeah. Because people love it or hate it. But people love it or hate anything, but I don't know. I never thought of him like, oh my God, Will Ferrell.
And I think comedy is
What was that? What was that?
Oh my God. I was being a Will Ferrell stan. I was acting.
Okay.
That's how
Believable.
And you believed it.
I did. I didn't understand it, but I believed it.
You asked that, and to me, I can't. Comedy is a different criteria for me when I'm watching. So I think again, one is the difference between if I'm watching film or live theater, and then the art of timing, which I'm sure is not a surprise, but I do think what makes a good comedic actor is their handle and their holdover, the timing. Okay. So if they're able, to me, I'm gonna say yes if it feels like, y'all watch Kim's Convenience.
No, I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
They have a phrase on there that Mr. Kim says, like, sneak attack. And I love it. I use it in every space. I'll wear out the phrase sneak attack. I'll wear it out.
What does it mean? Like, just,
it's just like, it's like, it surprise. Is like a surprise. Well, yeah, a surprise moment, or a moment when, like, a moment when you have done something thinking thoughtfully about it, but maybe the people around you didn't even realize that that's what you were doing until they had to were on the receiving end of it. Okay. That's what I think about with comedic actors. Like, I'm like, if you can sneak attack me, you're a good actor. Okay. If I didn't see this thing coming, or even if I did and it was still funny, you're a good actor. Okay.
There are also people that I feel like people agree on, like Viola Davis, Meryl Streep. Sure. Like,
do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think Viola's great.
Based on what? Like, based on, like, what
I've seen
makes
Viola
her
in a lot of stuff. I've only seen Meryl Streep in a couple of things, but people told me she's great, and I guess that's one of those things. Like, I guess I believe you. I think she's been good in the things I saw her in. Mm-hmm. But
so you're operating on confirmation bias.
I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Viola, I've seen, I think she's great.
Okay.
Denzel, I've seen a lot of things. I think he's great.
Right.
Just saw him in Gladiator last year, and I thought he was the only one acting.
Was it good? I haven't seen it yet.
Go look at my letterbox. It was all right. I think the only person whose rent was due was Denzel.
Okay.
I think everybody else was. Oh, Denzel here.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm going to take lunch, and I'll just read my lines because Denzel is here. I don't know what they was thinking. His parts were the only parts I was really engaged in.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I thought he was great.
Okay.
But maybe that's also just so he's cute. I don't know. I don't know why.
It's a very multi-dimensional experience.
There's lots of factors to being good. Number one, you have to be cute.
Look, I was like, yes.
Okay. All right, good starting point for all the aspiring actors and actresses out there. It is a heavily visual business, so they say.
I would say.
Okay. All right. Well, hold on. Before we. Okay. So how did you get here? We sort of skipped the biography part of the story. So you come up, you go to performing arts school.
Why'd you do that?
Why performing arts?
Yeah, was your mama like, I got to put her in the arts?
Basically, yes. Too much energy.
She didn't want to send you to the public school down the street?
No, it was still public.
Oh,
so
okay.
in Kentucky, the art school and the high school, you go to both. So you just walk in between buildings.
Okay.
Oh, I thought it was like a choice, like a private, like,
oh, no.
I want you to be in the arts. I'm going to send you to this private art school.
Conservatory.
Yeah.
No, you have to audition. And then if you audition, I mean, it's for people, it's for anybody. So, but you just have to audition. And then if you audition, then you get accepted into both schools. So then you take your academic classes.
Okay.
And then you take the arts class.
I didn't think you was taking any of the majors. I thought you were just doing the arts.
No, I still did. Math, science.
They said arithmetic. You don't need no math and science. Learn read the script. Okay.
That would require learning to read.
I know, right. Okay. So you go to the performance school, continue into high school.
And then I went, so I always thought, so psychology was, again, always a part of my ether. And I thought I was interested in art therapy. So I went to college and I double majored in theater and psychology, thinking that at some point that was going to be my journey to art therapy. Well, this love and really deep commitment to Black communities, Black people, Black artists, because that was ingrained in me on my weekends. Every Saturday I was at Black Achievers. That was still in my space. And what that meant was that I ended up being a theater major, then a psychology, then I took on Black studies, and then I kept doing
you was moving through majors.
And I just turned into interdisciplinary studies. So I just
wrap it all up. Wrap it all up in there. Yeah.
And I loved it because I was able to do undergraduate research where I could honor all of those. So that's the first time that I came to Virginia to research. It was a summer program that was for. Now I had no idea how instrumental it was, but it was for planting the seeds for college students to consider pursuing PhDs. And it was in performance studies. So my mentors were in performance studies and Appalachian studies. And so I came to Virginia. My first projects were on Black community life in Southwest Virginia. I did interviews, and then in Anna DeVere Smith style, I was performing those interviews. So that was my project. My thesis project was combining the theater and the Black history and putting it into something that my hope was that, a lot of the elders that I was talking to at the time, they had already lived a life. And so making sure that we honor and respect those legacies. And so art therapy just kind of was in the background. I knew there was something about this work that was healing. I think I shift my idea of thinking about therapy, and focus more so on what does it mean to have social healing, and how do we use stories and performance to do that. And then I applied to graduate school, still thinking that I was going to do something that was art therapy related. And
this is insane.
Yeah, right.
We don't know why you was holding on to it so hard.
I still am. I think it's going to be my retirement plan.
I'm still going to get to therapy.
I still am. But
100 plays in. I'm going to get to therapy.
I'm going to do some art therapy at some point.
Please make sure you tell your mama and them about it when I have my practice.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
Advertisement for a future practice.
Come on, future. Not even in existence yet. You got to dream it. You got to believe it. But I say all that to say that then I was so committed to those stories that's how I ended up doing my master's in performance studies, focusing on what did it mean to grow that project. And then when I left the performance studies space, I had not been allowed to perform in my program because they had shifted our focus to really the scholarship and training us as scholars, which I appreciated, but I was hungry. I went to performing arts, so I had been performing nonstop. And so to have to take a break even for 2 years, it was like I was coming out that thing like ready. And so the first day I moved to Houston after I graduated with my master's, I went and auditioned at the Ensemble Theater. First day, I hadn't even moved my stuff in. I literally, I saw they had
apartment
auditions.
empty, script in hand,
going. And
who knows if the lights is cut on?
No, they probably weren't. Internet probably wasn't working yet. And then that set me on the trajectory that was like, yes, what does it mean to do work in community? The Ensemble Theater in Houston is a Black theater. It's the oldest theater to have its own house in the Southwest in America. And so I was in the right space at the right time. And it kind of didn't matter what I learned in school because I was learning it on the ground and with other practitioners who had been doing it and had a deep commitment. And then when I decided to go back to get my PhD, it was because it was a move that I wanted to be able to focus back on the work, having done the work in community. It was like, let me get a chance to just step back and assess what have I done so far and can I do some deep research? So it was more so an opportunity to be reflective, to honor the people that had like poured into me, and then also to think about like, what do performers do? It's still in line with this healing thing too. What choices are we making that actually do have an impact on audiences? What can somebody do on stage that makes somebody leave? And maybe they are changing the way they think about their families or their interactions with a perfect stranger. Is there something about how people can come into a show and we can all be in the same place at the same time, and on the other side of that, actually have some real change when we're out in the world? So it actually still is all connected.
How you get UVA?
Oh,
Houston.
Good, thank you. So UVA has a postdoctoral fellowship program that is called Race, Place, and Equity. And it is...
Is a postdoctoral something you do after your doctorate?
Yes, it is.
Post-doctorate.
So you got to get the doctorate. You got to get the doctorate first.
Yes.
Then you can do the postdoctorate.
Yes.
Is it like a professorship or?
I do teach. So I teach acting and dramaturgy. And then the first year, the focus, thankfully, was to be able to think about my research, which when I went to get my PhD, it was on Black women performers in Appalachia.
Love that.
And how they use their performances for activism and advocacy. And so the postdoc allows me to continue to research and to write and to think about what does it mean to turn that research into a manuscript, and also continue my performance as research. So it is, there are multiple of us, a cohort of us across different departments here at UVA. So I'm the only one in drama. There's a one in music. There's a few in women's and gender studies and architecture, business, and in the Baton School. And so there is a way that even though we come from different disciplines, we come together under the same kind of mission, if you will, of like a deep commitment to what does it mean to think about race, place, and equity explicitly. And to have a commitment to that regardless of what our areas are. So the postdoc that I am in at UVA Drama is that I'm a rising scholar. And so not only do I teach acting and dramaturgy, but I've gotten the opportunity to continue my research and to think about now, what does it mean to think about performances of Black women in Appalachia, closer to Appalachia? Because I've been in Texas for 13 years.
Oh.
If you are just joining us, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville, City of Promise. News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WNA. Price, Markey here, Yunina Barbour-Payne with us in the studio, and big thanks to our sponsor, our friend, the Jefferson School Foundation, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. I'm going to ask you a question about the arts. How much of the art, so you have the what I think is interesting about the arts is there's that sort of combination of like pedagogy and experience. How do you determine which is more important at which time? There's obviously some technical pieces to acting, right? And I would argue, and you probably know better than I do, but that like the majority of actors and performers did go through acting schools, or they went through conservatories, or they went through the sort of more traditionally pedagogical route to learn to do the thing. There are, so I wonder, in this era, there seems to be a slight uptick in people who are like, you just fit this thing, and then I will teach, or like, you'll just learn to do it, right? Yeah. I was watching some story about one of the dudes who's in Power or something was like a musician who just like showed up at the audition with zero training, and they were like, right? Is that, that's obviously rare, but like, I guess what I'm asking is like, you have obviously studied the craft and also performed it, but you just mentioned that like some of what you were doing, certainly in Texas, was like, I'm learning on the job. I'm learning stuff I couldn't learn in the classroom from being around the people and doing the things and having the experiences, and I messed that up, so I don't do that, or I didn't feel that, or whatever.
Yes.
What is it, or do those things have to be complementary parts, or in going through your actual experience, or do you end up leaning one way or the other? Do you end up leaning, oh, like, that kid should have gone to drama school, or like, actually, you can get a lot of that in the field?
What's coming up for me is discipline and craft.
Okay.
So I don't think I would say to anyone, you have to go to get formal training, because there are systemic barriers in place in this world that we, like in this society that we live in, that might not, there is a barrier for access. And I don't think that barrier is small in terms of the ways in which sometimes if someone chooses to go the route where they're going to college and they're studying to be a performer, literally getting into a program gives you access to a whole bunch of people or institutions that if you had not gone to that program, you would not have gotten. Now, does that matter in terms of how they're showing up on stage?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Sure.
I've met plenty of people that if they were hungry, they do what they needed to do because they were hungry, and even still, there is a barrier in terms of access and representation. And when I say representation, I'm not just talking about like who they're playing on stage with, but like literally somebody that an agent or someone that can give you the opportunities to be seen by other people. So I think there is something I will say about even the folks that I learned from in Houston. Many of the people who were at the ensemble theater specifically, they were coming out of the schools of training from Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern University, which have very long legacies of theater training and a seriousness and actually a history within even those departments in terms of the curriculum, that they were training they were training the classics and thinking about poetry and oral interpretation, and also giving those students the skills to be able to move between genres. So I don't want to erase that was also a part of what I was learning alongside, was that now they were also trained, but maybe when people, if you're not in a space and you don't understand the history of a place or like a school and like where somebody is coming from, I know when I hear C. Lee Turner, like if somebody says that, I know there's a different kind of respect that I need to have about who they were training with, or Douglas Turner Ward. Sorry, I'm saying C. Lee Turner. But I think that some of the names of playwrights or teachers or people that are still honoring a legacy, that suggests something about how they were trained too. So I know it's not a direct answer in terms of, so someone go. I do think that we need foundations. And when I teach Acting 1, there is a way that, there's a benefit to being in a classroom, because there's a way that you can self-assess and reflect and deal with some things before you take on a character that I do think need to be true. I think there's a seriousness to the craft and there's a rigor to play, and you got to get some stuff out of the way in order to even be able to play. When I come and I'm watching a student and they have, they're coming up and they haven't even thought about like how can they create a neutral stance to take on a character. To me, that's a fundamental and that's a basic. I can't not have an awareness of how I can use my tool and use it well. And when I say tool, I'm thinking about my body, I'm thinking about my voice, I'm thinking about my imagination. So those are things that I return back to over and over and over again. And sometimes those can be things that inhibit me. Even my voice now, being from Kentucky, there was a way that in my training in high school, I was trained out of my dialect. And now I hear it. And it's funny because I came here and somebody mentioned something about how I was saying a word. And I was like, I don't know if I picked up something in Texas, because I didn't think I had. I don't think I sound different. But I think even that the training around being able to manipulate this vessel, that's a part of what you get. And if you don't get it in a classroom like a drama class, where are you going to get that from? Nobody's going to tell you that when you get a role. They're going to expect that you coming in and you're bodying that role, and we believe you. Nobody's going to say, go to the basics. They're going to expect that you have done that work and that you are doing what you need to do to warm up before you show up. That has been my experience. And I learned the hard way. Like, there have been moments where I didn't do that work, or I jumped right in eager because I just wanted to be on stage. And then I had to go back and be like, no, acting is also knowing and understanding beats. Acting is also listening and reacting. And if I'm caught up in just doing something because I want to play and I'm not actually listening to what somebody is giving me, I'm not doing my job. And that's a basic. That's a foundational. I don't have any, like, if I don't do anything else, that's what I'm expected to do.
Is part of that maybe how, and sort of back to your sort of evaluation of good acting and not, is it making things that are technically difficult look natural?
Absolutely.
Right? Because I think about
That's why we all think we can do it, because y'all are doing such a good job.
Well, my connection to this has been sort of the exploration of, like, everyone talks about how Obama speaks, and it feels like that's just how he talks. And I read a book that was written by his speechwriter who basically laid it out. He was like, this is the most insanely curated thing you've ever seen.
It's a performance.
The tempo and the tonality and the timing and the pauses and the inflection and like all of that is very intentional. Like, he is obviously a very charismatic dude, but that whole thing
I found
is
that out later
practiced and practiced
Absolutely.
and practiced, right? But on its face, you're just like, wow, this guy's, everyone knew the words are scripted.
Yeah.
Everyone knows there's a teleprompter there, but
but it's
everyone
how you're doing
totally
the thing.
right. And so I think that was a really interesting learning that the reason he pauses when he does, and then he talks
All
faster
those
sometimes, and he
things are
slows
scripted.
down to right. That's all
We thought you were just doing that as a cadence.
right.
That happened when I was working at UVA, and Jim was just when I was at UVA, and Jim had just started, and I was like, "Oh, I just thought that was your personality." Oh no, it's.
Totally.
I love the idea that, like, oh my God, you can script something so naturally. Of course, it's to their benefit to create a character of sorts.
Totally.
So cool.
But I even think something that we would think that is simple as how you speak can be heavily curated.
Chuckle here.
And then
Yeah, you still got. I love something
Blink.
like that, because it's
Slow
like,
blink.
I still have to find the journey that would make that chuckle happen.
Right.
And that still has to be
interesting.
honest.
Okay.
Because if I just go and it comes
Nobody
from nowhere,
believes it.
nobody believes it. So there's still a work in that is, and I love what you just mentioned, because I think for me it implies like the annotations, the analyzing the text, the making sure that I understand like what are the poetics, or how are the words showing up, how's the story showing up on the page. All of that is deep work, and it does require us to be students. It requires me to at least be a student of the story. It requires me to be a student of the world of the play, and it requires me to do research. Right, I can't just go into a thing thinking I know. I have to do some research to understand how the playwright got there, and then what I can do with it.
If you are just joining us, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville, City of Promise, News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM WNA. Price, Markey, Yunina Barbour-Payne, deciding who are good and who is not good actors these
I didn't
days.
decide that.
Big thanks to our sponsor, our friend, the Jefferson School Foundation, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org, who is now connected to our list of good and bad actors. So in your, what do you like better, teaching or performing?
That's so hard. I like teaching. I think
Really?
These bad kids. No,
man.
No, but you get kids. So who are you teaching? Are you teaching
never
only what?
people who've never acted or
Yeah. So do you have people who are green?
Yes.
But you also have more advanced kids.
Yes.
Which,
and I've taught the scale. I've taught K through 12. I've taught college. I've taught community college. And people who are studying and they want to be professional actors, and people that they just want to find a place to play because their major is something that maybe they don't get.
You need that. I took stage combat in college.
Yeah.
It was funny because what was funny about that is that it was all athletes and then like 3 other people. And so there was this hilarious combination of people who were coordinated, like hyper coordinated,
Yes.
but in a very specific way.
Yes.
We
Which
love
we
the
all
arts.
thought, well, here's the thing. We all thought if we're going to do this thing, 1, let's do it together, but 2, our type of coordination will translate, right? We're all like elite athletes. Let me tell you both and everyone who is listening, it does not translate. It is not the same thing. And it was
Different skill set.
hysterical when we all had that realization where we're like, what is happening? Like, what's going on? Right? Like, we're going to leave here and do like a very specific, like a thing. And we're going to show up here at 9 o'clock and we can't get it together. We couldn't. It was so funny. It was so fun, but it was a hilarious learning of like, oh, it's just a very different kinetic thing.
Yeah.
And humbled I was. Let me tell you.
the STEM majors when they take an art class.
Yeah, well, it was the engineering kid in like the science class was like, I got this. It was like, ooh, this is a different language. Like this is a different house in the same neighborhood. I thought it would be close. My keys don't work. But anyway, so in your teaching, I mean, what is your Well, I mean, what did you like more? Do you like the early exploration? Do you like sort of building this foundational work? Do you like digging in with the people that are like, no, I got that. Let's talk, more specifics. I mean, what is the most interesting to you? And let's caveat that by saying we love them all. Okay, cool.
We do.
But okay, right? You have to pick a cohort. Like, what has been the thing where you've been like, oh, this feels like what I like and fits my skill set the best?
I love teaching Acting 1.
Really?
I love it. Yes, there is something you can see more growth. You can see a wider kind of scope and spectrum of growth over a short amount of time with Acting 1.
Okay.
So it's November. I've been with my students since August, and just to be able to see shifts in confidence and shifts in the way that they can like show up and tap into their imaginations and how that can become catching. The first performance that we had in that class, I think it was like so surprising that everyone was like they actually showed up and they tried.
They leaned into it, yeah.
And leaning into it then creates a community among us. It's like, now
sure.
and I'm ready. Now I'm ready. Like, put me in the game, coach. Is like an athlete.
Right.
There's this idea, and I can tell every time we have another performance or another performance task is what I frame my performances as. It's like, that's a performance task. So when you come in here, you need to come ready to play, and they come ready to play. And so it's like stair steps in a short amount of time. I'm like, sign me up. And literally I leave every class and I'm like, I don't even know what I was doing before I came in here, but this is how I want to feel every day. And it's not about, it's actually not about Yunina. It's about, and the way I frame my teaching is I'm a part, like whatever your goal is, like whatever reason you decided to come in here, that's fine with me. You don't need to want to be an actor because it's Acting 1. Like if this was Acting 3, this would be a different conversation. But I want to be a partner with you on whatever that goal was.
Sure.
So some people come in and it's like public speaking used to be the number one fear in the world. I don't know if it still is.
No, it was.
I took public speaking.
No, but this is true. And you know what was number 2?
What was I'm so scared to know.
Do you know what was number 2?
What was number 2?
Death.
What? Well, that's fair.
Right, but that means that more people would be in the casket than reading the eulogy.
Come on,
I didn't know that.
Wordplay.
I love that. Write that down. There's a script there. There's a script there.
That's nuts. But sorry, that was a sidebar. But yes, I have heard that.
Yeah.
That it was the biggest fear.
Yes.
That's crazy.
People hate it. I took a class and people in the class was like, you could tell they didn't want to, they were doing it because they needed like an arts credit or something. And people were like, I don't want to be here. Oh my God. Then, girl,
but that's an interesting question. No, but that's an interesting question that I want to ask you as a teacher, though. Like, so I've known you for all of an hour, but but you are clearly personality-wise predisposed to just like I'm in there. I'm
extrovert,
out there, right? Like I'll do I don't know if it's extroversion, but it is sort of like a low barrier to whatever you want to call it, embarrassment or judgment or whatever. You're just like I'm gonna do this thing,
let's
and
play.
exactly, and I'm okay with doing it wrong or you not liking it or whatever. Like you clearly have that, and I think some of acting has to be that. Has to just be like,
absolutely.
I'm not really bothered about any of this. Like we're gonna do this thing. Is that a big hurdle for a lot of kids? So particularly in public speaking, like what if I mess this up? And what if I sweat? What if I stutter? How much of that is taught, and how much of that is just like sometimes you just have to be like I would consider myself an introvert, but but the performance doesn't bother me. Mm-hmm. So like I don't want to be in public, but I can go do the thing.
Yeah.
And so you're training on top of that. How many of your students have to be like, look, we're creating a culture in here by like we're all participating in this exploration together. Like how much of it is that versus how much of it is like, here's the pedagogical, here's how you move, here's how you look, here's how you think and talk and whatever.
I'm going to lean forward when I say this. Because for me, there's a craft to teaching to where I can make that happen in the room that is like, it is like building an art. And there's a way that I can structure this classroom. And I love that now I get to come back to sneak attack because there's a way that I make it non-negotiable without that pressure. Okay. And it's how we gather in the room.
Sure.
And it does, to me, it is coming from a theater background of like, there's a design element to my classroom. There's a way that like the audience is set up that even when you walk in, because and this is not new. I'm not doing anything that people haven't already written a lot about. But
if it ain't broke, don't break it.
When people come into a room and they see a circle, there's something that triggers in their mind about like.
We started in a circle for our public speaking class.
See, you know?
Every day we started in a circle.
And every day we start in a circle. Every day we warm up in some way.
Y'all got a real craft to this.
Yes, and I think teaching is a craft, which is also why I'm going to say teaching over performing, simply because one, I get to be a co-collaborator with more people in a teaching environment than I do. Like performances, the ensemble might be 5 to 10 people plus the design team. Whereas like teaching, if I teach for 5 years, how many classrooms have I been in? And if those classrooms had 30 people each or 100 each, like that is to me a more expansive way to like have an impact on somebody that might last them long. My hope is that somebody can be in my class and 10 years from now they say, BP, which is what my students call me, like, BP, I remember when I was in your class and I was so, nervous about speaking in front of people, and that broke something open in me. And for some people, the journey of 6 weeks or 12 weeks is just, can I have enough courage to be able to speak in front of people over and over again and speak loud enough for them to hear me.
Yeah, I remember my public speaking class like it was yesterday. I think it
did.
Really? But I was always very vocal already. But I think I was scared that people didn't get how, like, it wasn't a trained, like, oh, I'm just talking to everybody. That's not on stage. That's not, I'm not using skills to do that. So when I took the public speaking class, I learned a lot of skills about public speaking that I'm using all the time when I'm public speaking. When people let us go on stage and do anything, that's weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But like,
that's horrifying.
I took a class and I'm using those skills every day.
Yeah,
and it was like intonation when you upspeak. Like she had us go around and say our names, and like then she called 3 people out. She was like, "Do you know what you did different than everybody else?" And I was like, "No." She was like, when you introduced yourself, you did an upspeak. Everybody else went down or whatever. And I was like, she's like, "That's #1 rule in public speaking." Blah 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 blah. Then I had to do a monologue. Blah 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 blah. I was like, but I remembered all of those things, and like it changed the way that I talked in public, even to people one-on-one. It was weird. Yeah. I loved my public speaking class, but I already was out. I was very extroverted and I'm talking to everybody, but it wasn't public speaking.
Do you find there's a correlation between what we would consider introversion, extroversion, and sort of ability to participate in your world? Because I'm wondering if they are similar or if they are just complementary parts, right? Because I think about, like, you, again, are very classically extroverted and you've never met a stranger. I wonder how much of that is correlated to, like, does that make you a good public speaker, or is it just a piece of the puzzle, right? Because I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, certainly from a personality standpoint. Please leave me alone, always and forever, right?
But your public speaking's great.
But performance-wise, I'm very comfortable in that space too, right? And so I wonder, as someone who has seen and taught a lot of students, like, do you find that there's kids who first day you walk in, you're like, yep, or have people surprised you where you've been like, oh, I didn't know that.
I have learned better. I learned to learn better because there are what I have noticed that the students that might not be the first, when they do speak, they're the ones that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah,
and I've also learned that the students that are that come in ready and fearless, they're the ones that sometimes I have to sharpen in a different way. So it's not that there's one better than the other; it's that there's a different kind of feedback that's required.
Interesting.
But I will tell you that I tend to put them together in scene work.
Like an extrovert or like an extrovert and introvert?
And maybe
the best duos, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll do it. Come on. I see that. I see what you did there. For me, it is also a matter of, I'm a believer, so the idea of iron sharpening iron, right? That there's an opportunity to learn something from someone else. So when I'm putting the pairs together, what can you learn? And sometimes just being in the company of somebody that is fearless, I like to think it's catching, and something about that's going to be contagious. And I see it. So when we perform, for me, I know other teachers do different things, but I never ask somebody that might be considered the introvert or the one that's not going to be excited to go first. I'm never asking them to go first. I ask them to self-identify, like, how ready or excited are you to perform? And I normally do a scale of 1 to 5, and you rate yourself, and whatever they put, okay, my 5s are going first every time.
Okay.
Every time the 5s are going first, because there's a way, and again, the craft of teaching for me is every time it has not failed, those 5s break something open in the room to where people are excited. The ones that might be at a 1, they're ready by the end of class because the 5s have gone and they've broke something open in the room that's we don't have to worry about, we're okay to fail or we're okay to get up and
right. It signals that we can do.
Yes.
It's sort of, you tacitly acknowledges that, okay, this is what we can do.
Yes.
We can. I think that's really interesting. If you are just hopping in, this is Envision Radio from the United Way of Greater Charlottesville, City of Promise, News Radio 98.9, 1070 AM, WINA. Yunina Barbour-Payne, Price, Markey here in the studio. Big thanks again to our friend, our sponsor, the Jefferson School Foundation. That is jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. So obviously very busy, teaching and keeping up with that. How do you balance your time between teaching and performing? And has it changed over the years? Is it going to continue to change over the years? Where are you leaning?
So coming to UVA Drama, last year was the longest break that I had taken from the stage.
Is that right?
Yeah.
How long was it?
I did a radio drama in December. So from August to December, I didn't have any work.
Wait, like 2 months?
No. August to December. So like, what is that, 4?
August to December.
August, September, October, November,
December.
I thought you'd be longer than that. Your longest break was 4 months?
I thought you were going to at least a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt
You said that really longingly. She was like, it was my longest break. And I was like, you mean like 90 days?
Like
it takes longer to get your license sent to you from the DMV.
It takes longer to get your passport.
Like, Lord have mercy. You're on a USPS deadline. Like 90 whole days she's over here.
Listen, I went from going from one thing to another. So every quarter I had a show. I could look forward to something every quarter. To coming here, it was the first time, and I experienced a Virginia winter for the first time. I was coming from Texas, so it was real sad, y'all. Like, I'm like, I'm not in my body. I'm not on stage. I'm here. It's snow outside. I don't have any ice or salt for the ice. You know, like, that was like it was a quiet. Nikki Giovanni talks about how winter can be a quiet space, a contemplative space, which I love, and that literally was what it was. And I think even by December, when it was time to do, I had a radio drama I was doing, so I still technically wasn't on stage, but at least getting back to play for the radio drama, I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. But I will say that coming here, I appreciate the quiet. There's a way that there's a lot of noise and a lot of energy that's required when I am in a production and I'm working, that I like to live. As an academic, as a scholar, I like to think about my work in seasons. So there's a season of directing. Okay. There's a season of performing. There's a season of playwriting. And as an actor, the gigs aren't always promised, right? Especially when I'm somewhere new, I have to cultivate a new community. If people don't know me, they don't know my work, there's a different way that I'm going to get opportunities than if I'm somewhere where people have seen me and they know what I'm, and if I'm not submitting, like I'm not somebody that's like in a commercial space. I'm someone that there are certain kind of projects I want to say yes to, and I want somebody to ask me for. So right now I'm in a season of playwriting, and I've been in the season of playwriting since August. So this is kind of mirrored from last year. You know, August to November has been me thinking about my writing and my research and how to represent that. And it's a very solo endeavor. But I also just came out of a season of performing because I went back to Texas over the summer, and so I had a show, right? So there was a way that like I got a chance to be in it and be in my body. And I think that the balance to be able to move between what feels like more of a, and thankfully here at UVA, even being a playwright is not a solo endeavor in the way that it has been previously for me. This stage reading has opened up so much in terms of what support can look like, even as a playwright, going through all these rewrites. You know, to have actors that are willing to give me some of their time on a Monday night to reread something that they probably read 3 times and I'm still working through it, like, that is a gift. And also in the past, that's something I did solo. I did by myself and, like, had to read, I'm reading by myself. So my hope is that I can maintain the season mindset that's like, yeah, there's a season for playwriting. There's a season for directing, which, like, for me, the visioning and directing is a muscle that I want to keep up. But there's a season for acting. And thankfully for me, the acting class right now is how I'm keeping that muscle up. It's just like everything I ask my students to do, I'm coming in and I'm modeling it first. So that's my opportunity to play. And it works to my advantage because then it's like another way of like, I'm not going to ask you to do something that I haven't done myself. So seasons, that's my answer. I don't know what everybody else does, but for me, seasons.
I want to give you a chance to talk about Affrilachian Memory Plays and why you founded it and what it's about.
Yeah, so the Affrilachian Memory Plays really was born out of my research in my graduate programs. And what it was my way of thinking about how can I account for, I mentioned that I had started by doing Black community interviews in Southwest Virginia, and I was working under the advisement of scholars in Appalachian Studies and Performance Studies. But I wanted to figure out how could I do this work continually and really honor that there has been already a long legacy and life of Black people in Appalachia. Like, this is not new. Sure. We have been here, and I shouldn't just say we, but I should say people have been here, and there have been legacies that preceded me. When I was in my graduate program, Frank X. Walker, who is the founder of the Affrilachian Poets, he's based at the University of Kentucky. I remember that they had, even prior to me going to graduate school, when I got my master's in Texas, they had already had a collection of poets that were traveling throughout the region. They were sharing their poetry out loud, and they had a website. So when I was in graduate school, by this point they had a following, a public following, and they had this public facing website. And on the website, when you scroll down, there was the definition of what an Affrilachian was, which it was a word that he coined in order to interrupt the stereotype of Appalachia not being diverse or having like one way of people think when they heard the word Appalachia, that they weren't thinking about a multicultural, diverse, vibrant Black or people of color or indigenous like existence in the region. So he coined this word to rhetorically interrupt that stereotype and interrupt what people saw when they heard the word. Then the poets were writing works as people who were either from Appalachia or they were coming into the University of Kentucky and by proxy, like into a space that was closer to Appalachia, and they were being people of color in this space or they were Black people in this space. And on the website, not only does he put the definition of Affrilachian being a Black person from Appalachia, and again, there are people in Appalachia who are Black that maybe won't call themselves Affrilachian. So this is born out of a literary space, it's born out of an artistic space and a movement. And at the bottom of that, I remember the note that was like, and anybody could use this phrase, or you too can call yourself Affrilachian. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know necessarily if I would have identified as that because, again, I grew up in Kentucky, but where my mama is from in Hart County, Kentucky, is considered a part of the Appalachian region. And growing up, I never heard my family like refer to themselves in that way. So it was like, it was hard for me to, it was hard for me to identify with being Appalachian or my mama being Appalachian. My people, I even remember going and asking her, like, do y'all consider yourselves? And she said, no, we're Black. I remember having a conversation with my aunt
That's
and
interesting.
my mama. Yeah. And so for me, the Affrilachian memory plays as an artistic endeavor was a way to grapple with those questions through performance. And so one of my first performance pieces was around that, like the conversation I had with my mom and my aunts when I like looked up the regional county
Y'all was
map.
right there.
We were right there, and it was like staging that conversation.
We in Appalachia, but we're not Appalachian.
But I think that to that point, like for me, this project has been about thinking about the myriad of ways that Black people might have a relationship and an experience to this region, whether you grow up here or somebody's moving here for a small amount of time and then they leave, or they go away and then they come back. For me, the Affrilachian memory plays is about what are all the ways, like it's not just one, it's not just somebody that they've been here and they stayed here, but that there are different relationships to place, and how can we work through those questions in performance? And I think that what I have discovered is that performance opens up a conversation that it just is different than when I go see anything else. I know that when I see a show, when I leave, I want to talk about what I saw. Something in it has moved me, and I like whether I hated a character or something, a moment that has stuck with me. There's a way that performance lingers that is a part of why I have stayed doing the Affrilachian memory plays. And I've done different things. I've done one-person shows, and I've done 10-minute plays, and I've done choreo poems where I've collaborated with movement artists, and I've created plays. So it's not just when I say play. For me, it's play as an invitation to think creatively, not plays as in like a book of characters.
Right.
What's next? What's on the docket for you? Tell us what you got coming up next.
Well,
playwright season, acting season.
Right. I'm in playwright season right now. So tomorrow night at UVA Drama, we're gonna play with some new pages. I did an adaptation that I've been working on since 2019 of Affrilachian poet and author and former Kentucky Poet Laureate Crystal Wilkinson. She has a collection of short stories called Blackberries, Blackberries, which is our first collection of short stories. It's about Black life in Kentucky, and we've adapted them for the stage. So I'm not the first to adapt them. My sister, the first sister doctor in my family, Dr. Rita Abel, actually adapted a collection in 2010. And 10 years later, I actually was like, I'm interested in returning to these. And so now we're in 2025, so it will mark the 25th anniversary of this collection. We're going to come together tomorrow night to explore what might it mean to think about these stories together, to think about land and memory and people. And so it's a workshopping. It's not a full production. It's an opportunity to come listen to some stories, see a playwright in process. So that's tomorrow night. And I'm excited to be in playwright season.
Take us out.
Well, that was a lot of fun.
We're all actors.
We're all acting. This isn't even my real voice. Big thanks to Yunina. If you have ideas for the show or want to get in touch with us, check us out social media, all platforms at United Way Seville, at City of Promise. Drop us a note. The inbox is open. Envision at UnitedWaySeville.org. How do folks keep up with you? How do folks interact with your work? What do you want? How much influx would you like?
I would love for people to come to more Black Perry's Please tomorrow. And if you don't get to come, you can follow me on Affrilachian Memory Plays on Instagram or YB Payne on Instagram. That is the account for this performative work and also my work as an actor and a director. I'm also here at UVA in drama. So either any and all of those ways, connect with me. Happy to talk and have conversations with anybody about art at any time. As you can see, probably from the last hour.
That's absolutely right. We get support on the show from all of you. If you like what you hear, share us with your friends, share it with your family. You got long road trips coming up. We've got, 190 episodes?
190 episodes.
Get you up and down the road. Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts these days. There's new episodes every week. Best way to support us, consider making a contribution to your favorite nonprofit, City of Promise, United Way, or any of the other wonderful local nonprofits. Continue to do great community-based work. And, of course, this show for Yunina Barbour-Payne, for Marky, for Price, and our ongoing list of good and bad actors. You can find all the other episodes of Envision Radio on your favorite podcast platform. Big thanks to our sponsor, Jefferson School Foundation, jeffersonschoolfoundation.org. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
Thank y'all.